Alright guys, 28 years later, the Bone Temple. First reviews are here. The first reactions. I always do these videos, you guys know it. We love to take a look at these first reactions. See if there's a running trend. See if there's a theme. A studio talking point, as it were. Yeah, I just find this interesting, to be honest. This is a movie which I am actually looking forward to. Full hands up. Alright, I liked 28 Years Later. Ending was a bit odd, but I liked it overall. And this movie, this one, the sequel, looks interesting to me. The individual that plays Jimmy Crystal, I think the character's name is, you know, the leader of the Jimmy Gang, has come out and said this is my most reviled character ever. He's a true villain, and yeah, I'm down for that. I'm intrigued. You know, the characters that are evil and they love being evil, you love to hate them. You know, I want to return to just pure evil characters. None of this sympathetic bollocks, misunderstood. They're just poor little. No. Like a true evil villain. Good. Anyway, let's take a look, shall we? Dive right into it with me. I mean, the headline of this caught my eye instantly. It could be even more polarizing. Well, maybe. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. Cillian Murphy's supposed to be in this one, like at the very end or something like that. They've they made no qualms about that. They've said, yeah, he's in it for like a little bit, and then, you know, he's supposed to be in the follow-up, which I think is to me, that's a cynical way to get the third one made, because they only got funding for the first two. So 28 years later, the Bone Temple. They don't have funding for whatever comes next. So, to me, having Cillian Murphy come up at the end is like, it's a cynical way, innit? I mean, I see what they do and I respect it, right? I respect the grind to try and get the third one made, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Anyway, so Christopher rates it. It says, Near DaCosta. Oh, I've got to load this one up. Jesus. Don't know if I can view this one or not. Side note, I had my Twitter account nuked, so that was good. Anyway, Near DaCosta is a director that more people need to keep their eyes on for the near future. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple is one of the greatest horror movies of the decade, as it takes the first movie, which one? 28 days or 28 years? And goes 10 extra miles with the brutality and intensity of the world. I presume they mean the first one. It explores the nature of evil and the balance of life and death, while taking a deep look into people's belief systems and how far faith can take you in a world that's devoid of religious practice. When all you know is evil, who do you believe and trust in? Jack O'Connell, who plays this Jimmy Crystal character, yet another outstanding villainous role that's unhinged, demonic, and beyond anything we've seen from a horror movie this decade. Alongside Ralph Fiennes and Chi Lewis Parry, we really get performances that highlight both the insanity and harsh reality of this post-apocalyptic world. Wow. Yeah, nice. Keen. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Yet more evidence that when you let Near DaCosta cook, great things tend to happen. So much to love, with Ralph Fiennes walking away with the MVP and tearing the house down with one especially insane sequence that rightfully drew applause. Go see. Okay. I presume it's like the weird little fire thing and screaming and almost like Marilyn Manson rock performance that we see in the trailer. I presume that's what he's referencing. This one here, literally. Excuse my language, but I just got out of the first screening of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and holy effing shit, this has cranked everything up to 11. Spinal Tap reference. And I warn you, you will need a very strong stomach or a sick bag. Oh, okay. So it's proper gross then. Also, Ralph Fiennes is truly phenomenal. Ralph Fiennes is great. He's a great actor. He's a superb actor. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple is, at times, relentless, deeply cerebral, and deliciously savage continuation of the story from 28 Years Later. Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes are superb, alongside the wonderful Chi Lewis Parry. I'm not seeing a recurring theme just yet. 28 years later, the Bone Temple takes some big swings, and most of them land. Suspect it will divide fans, but it's nastier and surprisingly funnier than the first part, with mesmerising performances from Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes. The Bone Temple runs laps around 28 years later, which is really saying something. Unexpected, uncomfortable, unapologetic. I've long thought the big screen zombie story was played out. This franchise has given it a millennium of momentum. Make these movies forever. I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make them forever. Okay, don't. Not everything needs to be a massive franchise that just continues to the end of time, all right? 28 years later, The Bone Temple is a great follow-up to Danny Boyle's recent sequel. Nia DaCosta recaptures the magic of the previous films, so that's good, with a propulsive story that utilises dynamic camera work. Because for this film, they didn't use the iPhone shit that Danny Boyle did for the 28 years later. They used actual cameras, so, you know, good. As it explores the cultish side of faith, religion, NHS, and the balance between life and death. Ralph Fiennes continue. The NHS is the National Health Service for Americans that don't know. Ralph Fiennes continues to be such a veteran performer and concludes Kelson's character brilliantly, creating a meaningful dynamic. Big Dick Samson. Jack O'Connell was fantastic in Sinners and is again a fun villain here too. One sequence blew me away. A fun film that complements the franchise beautifully. After this and Header, Nia is one of our most exciting directors today. Okay. I'm seeing nothing but positivity, really. This article said it would divide people. 28 years later, The Bone Temple is beautifully chaotic, breathtaking, and everything I wanted it to be. Nia DaCosta brought her unique style to this world on a captivating way, and I would watch Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes for hours. Another banger of a film for this franchise. Bone Temple is brutally audacious, largely sidelines the infected. I mean, that's not necessarily bad. As long as they're there. That's not necessarily bad. But it is one of the biggest complaints people had from the first one. 28 years later. To explore cultism, trauma, psychosis, and compassion. I mean, those are interesting things to explore. If it does it well, when it lands, good. If not, it'll just piss people off. I really like its uncompromising, idiosyncratic ambition. It's easily more polarizing than 28 years later. Okay, interesting. I'll say it with my chest. 28 years later, The Bone Temple is one of the best horror movies of the last decade. Gnarly, intense, surprisingly tender. Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, and Chilos Parry take a bloody bow. I will say this, right? For those saying, oh, it sidelines the infected to explore this, you know, X, Y, and Z, that sounds crap. I will say this, like Hellraiser, for instance, or like, yeah, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a really good example of the Cenobites not necessarily... So they're the horror icons, but they're not necessarily the villains. The true villains of the story is Frank, right? So if you have the infected as... If you use that as a... You know, as a template, and you have the infected as the horror icons, but the true villain being Jimmy Crystal or whatever, could work. Doesn't necessarily spell disaster, basically, is what I'm trying to say. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. What if isolation is as erosive as the virus flowing through the infected's veins? The Costa's introversion of this world juxtaposes so precisely with the groundwork laid before her by Boyle. Hard to imagine a better start for the new year. Brilliant. Look, okay, cool. It'll be interesting to see. And yeah, Cillian Murphy has been confirmed to return, basically. But apparently just at the end, and then he, you know, cameo, and then he's going to have a big role in the last one. There you go, interesting. First reviews. I don't necessarily, I think a lot of this is positive, but again, I like 28 years later. So it sounds like to me, if you like 28 years later, you'll like this. Leave your thoughts down below. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed this and you're new here. Check you're still subscribed. Bye-bye now.